In the steam engine era of the 19th century, the rhythmic hum of the locomotive was the heartbeat of global transformation. In the United Kingdom, the railway mania of the 1840s didn't just move coal, railways integrated markets and gave birth to modern trade centers. In the United States, the first transcontinental railroad acted as a junction, binding the Atlantic to the Pacific and turning a vast wilderness into the world's most formidable economic center. In India, despite the complex colonial motivations behind its construction, the Great Indian Peninsula Railway became the unintended skeleton of a nation, connecting rural hinterlands to global ports and lowering trade costs by more than 70%. Railways remain important to India's logistics and infrastructure, but another sector is set to have a sweeping impact on India's economic growth in the 21st century. Today, the steel tracks are being replaced by fiber optic cables and the steam engines by humming servo tracks. If the railroad was the inflection point for the industrial revolution, the data center is the vital organ of the artificial intelligence revolution in India. The world's wealthiest titans, led by Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Jensen Huang and Elon Musk, are currently channeling hundreds of billions of dollars into global data center infrastructure. They are doing this to secure the physical backbone of the artificial intelligence revolution. This massive capital inflow is driven by a collective conviction that we have reached a critical historical inflection point where data centers are no longer just storage facilities. Rather, they are the essential AI factories of the future. By investing in specialized high-density cooling and massive power grids, billionaires are positioning themselves to control the supply side of the world's most valuable new commodity, computing power. For the first time in history, the geography of economic power is being redrawn by the proximity to power grids and cooling water rather than mountain passages or deep water harbors. The US remains the world's largest data center market. It hosts nearly half of the world's facilities. This dominance ensures that American companies control the operating system of the global commerce. Also, this cements the dollar's digital relevance and creates a high-pay ecosystem for engineers, data scientists and AI researchers. India, however, represents the most dramatic leapfrog opportunity. While the railroads of the 19th century were often used to extract raw materials, the data centers of the 21st century are designed to retain value. India generates roughly 20% of the world's data but possesses only about 3% of its storage capacity. This massive imbalance is the new frontier. Major global economies led by the US, China, Germany and the UK are pouring capital into this vacuum. In a stunning parallel to the guaranteed interest schemes that funded the British Indian Railways, American tech giants have recently committed over $67 billion to build India's AI and data infrastructure. For India, the next decade will be defined by the Silicon Silk Road. As data centers proliferate across hubs like Navi Mumbai, Chennai and Hyderabad, the economic friction of the past will evaporate. These facilities will act as the engines of India's ambitious goal of $10 trillion economy. The data center inflection point in India also has multiple macro tailwinds. First is the need for data sovereignty and regulatory compliance. The Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023, along with the RBI and SEBI mandates, require sensitive user data to be stored within India. Second, with the 5G network coverage reaching almost 90% of the population, data consumption per user is rising, necessitating more edge computing infrastructure to reduce latency for services like gaming, streaming and IoT. India's focus on green energy capacity will be critical to data centers. In 2026, data centers will focus on using wind, solar and green hydrogen to power these facilities. Finally, major investments from global giants like Google, AWS and Microsoft along with local conglomerates will support data center ecosystem. The transition is not without hurdles. Much like the railroads required massive land grants and coal, data centers demand staggering amounts of electricity and water. Having said that, some companies are better positioned than others to ride the data center upside. NetWeb Technologies occupies a distinct niche as a high-end computing solutions provider that designs and manufactures the actual server racks and the supercomputing infrastructure housed within these centers. As Indian data centers move towards a Make in India tech and indigenous AI sovereignty, NetWeb benefits as the primary domestic player capable of building the complex liquid-cooled GPU clusters required for generative AI. NetWeb's collaboration with global chip leaders like NVIDIA positions the company at the absolute forefront of the technology cycle that could define the next decade of data center spending. Anantraj has emerged as a dark horse in the sector by pivotally converting its massive existing commercial land bank and built-up structures into high-specification data center parks. This brownfield strategy allows the entity to bypass the long gestation periods of new construction, enabling it to bring capacity on stream much faster than the traditional developers. Anantraj's primary advantage lies in having pre-secured power sanctions and structural shells in strategic locations like Manesar and Panchkula, which are ideal for data center requirements of the Delhi NCR region. By focusing on the infrastructure as a service model, it is transforming from a traditional real estate player to a high-margin technology infrastructure realtor. Tata Communications is uniquely positioned as the digital fabric connecting India's massive data center clusters to the rest of the world through its ownership of the world's largest subsea fiber optic network. As data centers migrate from mere storage to high-intensity AI compute hubs, the company's digital infrastructure platform provides a necessary high-bandwidth, low-latency connectivity that hyperscalers demand from real-time data processing. By integrating their global network with domestic Tier 3 and Tier 4 data centers, the company can offer a seamless end-to-end ecosystem that competitors could find nearly impossible to replicate. As India scales its data center capacity from 1.5 gigawatt today to a projected 14 gigawatt by 2035, the ecosystem could create new business hubs. And there could be several proxy players for profiting from the data center ecosystem. It's important that investors include stocks from the ecosystem in their watch list. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.